Hello, everybody, and welcome to Lessons from the Trenches. You've got Becky Amble and Steve Zuber with you again today, and we appreciate your joining in. You might recall last time we got together, Steve and I talked about how important it is to have good information for making business decisions, whether you're doing research, survey work, whether you're using internal data. And what's important is not only to have the information, to analyze the correct information and do the proper interpretation, and how costly that can be if that is not done. Today, we're going to talk about three topics that are essential for every business to keep up on, and those are technology, customer trends, needs, and wants, and the third is the competitive environment. So a little bit about me, in case you don't remember who I am. My name is Becky Amble, and I work with businesses in the B2B space that are looking to grow and increase their revenue and profits. Steve, I hope you start the timer because I forgot to start mine. And okay, a couple of those little side things that happen here. We're only a minute off. Anyway, so I work with B2B companies, a lot of times in manufacturing, high tech and med tech, and also have done a lot of work with service businesses. And it's all about what do we need to do to grow the business and increase revenue and profits? What strategies do we need to put in place, and how do we get it all put together in a step-by-step process so we get there? Steve, how about you? You got 30 seconds. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Okay, well, my background is in consumer research and building strong brands, and I bring the two together by helping people understand their customers or their prospects, and by understanding your customers better or your prospects better, your target audience better, then you have the opportunity to reach them in a meaningful way and grow your business.
All right, excellent. And I think I probably don't have our little page with our numbers. I'll have to see if I can find that here before we sign off. So again, today we are going to talk about three things that are really important for any business to stay up on. And that is, again, technology, the customer needs, wants, trends that are out there in the marketplace, and competitive environment. And Steve's going to kick us off and talk about a company that experienced a situation in all three of those, and probably even more. So Steve's going to talk to us about Sears. Okay, Steve, why don't you tell us what you got?
Hi. Well, yeah, most people, at least people of a certain age, know about Sears, Sears Roebuck and Company, which at one point, going back over 100 years, was the world's largest retailer, and still was back probably into the 80s or 90s. They had stores and they had a catalog, which consumers called the Big Book, and they mailed that Big Book to just about any household in the country for which they had a mailing address, which was into the hundreds of thousands or maybe into the millions. And people would get that catalog and they would receive the catalog and then place an order. And they were kind of like the book had everything that an Amazon has today, or Target or Walmart has, and including a lot of stuff that department stores have. So they were, quote unquote, the world's largest store. They even owned a radio station in Chicago, WLS, which stood for world's largest store, just because they wanted people to know. They were really good at reaching into rural areas or underserved areas by other retailers because of their catalog, okay, and some smaller stores and small markets. But mainly the catalog reached everybody. And because they had all those addresses, they would send a Big Book out and watch the orders come in. Well, then, you get into the late 90s and when the internet became a big deal, and this is where they really missed the boat on technology, because it was when the technology was available, the internet was there, and then e-commerce became a thing. And while they had home addresses, they didn't have or start collecting email addresses. Well, for example, enter a lot of businesses doing e-commerce, but the 800-pound gorilla that really hurt them was Amazon, because Amazon, which we know started with just books, but they kind of became the Sears online, because all of a sudden they started offering everything. Some of it by fulfilling other retailers, other businesses' orders, but clearly by stacking their warehouses with all the goods that they had online. So Sears missed really the convenience of online ordering and what goes with it, which is really the consumer trend of, geez, I'm looking for convenience. All right. I'm looking for convenience, and I'm getting it via Amazon and some other businesses via online ordering, via quick or next day delivery, via free shipping, free returns, fulfilling orders, for other companies as well, so they could offer a broader assortment than books, for example, and other things that Amazon started. So there's not a whole lot you can't get on Amazon. At the same time, their stores were competing against new outlets, Home Depot and Lowe's, which really became the place to go for hard goods, everything from lawn equipment to appliances. And Sears, via some proprietary brand names, were like a big deal. They had Craftsman was their big, and Kenmore were their own brands. And I think now you can buy those brands at Lowe's, but that's a relatively new thing. But there was competitors, and then Walmart started going into some of the locations where Sears was, especially smaller towns, offering the convenience of shopping and of price. So they really missed, the three things we're talking about today. They really missed or were slow to adapt the technology that allowed Amazon to become what they are today, and for Sears to become virtually nothing. I think they're doing a little mail order business and appliance servicing. So they missed what was going on with the competition, and they didn't have the understanding of the consumer's desire for convenience, and which they were delivering via the catalog, but all of a sudden there was a much more convenient way to get these kind of goods and services, and they missed that as well. And now Sears is, at least in the retail landscape, empty storefronts or refurbished stores into something else. They virtually don't exist anymore.
Yes, thank you, Steve. And that is such a classic example and how it touched on all three of those key components. I wanted to share a little bit about Medtronic. When I was at Medtronic, which is, of course, a leading company in their field, and a lot of great employees, sophisticated people, and all of that. Well, we had a product that was under development by our engineers and our research team, and I was responsible for that from the market and product marketing standpoint. And I said, you know what, we better find out if anybody wants this. So I talked to our marketing research department, and they did the research, interviewed people, and we found out nobody in the US wants to buy this particular product. The product itself was actually ahead of its time, so it would have been a great product. And because we were in the B2B space, this would have been a product that would have been sold to clinics or maybe to hospitals as well. And I said, we aren't going to buy this. Unfortunately, it took all the way to the worldwide production planning meeting for that to finally hit them between the eyes, when they finally said, okay, we will stop the development on that. And that just makes me think a little bit about, okay, what is marketing's role when it comes to product development? Well, if you follow the product marketing world, you know that you are responsible for next generation products and a lot of work in product development and working with product development people, sometimes even taking the leadership role. And also that keeping up with technology and ideas, that's a great source of information. And in a technology-driven company, as Medtronic still is, that was really valuable to keep looking at new ideas. And also customer and market research is essential. We have to know what's going on in the minds of the potential target market and customer base to make sure that we have the products they want. And then the fourth point I wanted to make was that we need to share information internally. And things have gotten a lot better, I think, since the Baldrige Award and Voice of the Customer has taken some traction, so that we are doing a better job making sure that everybody involved in product development and getting current products out the door and keeping them on the right, making sure they're doing the right things. I think we've gotten a lot more sophisticated on that. So those were the points I wanted to make as far as Medtronic and what we've seen there. Steve, was there anything else that you would like to share as far as these three things that are so essential for businesses to stay up on?
Well, I'm sure we can come up with a whole bunch more examples, but time will not permit us to do so. But I do want to build on what you said about sharing things cross-functionally, sharing market understanding cross-functionally. And my experience in the consumer world was similar. Is once we formed teams that included, the marketing research, R&D, finance, then everybody was sharing the same information, and it didn't allow the marketing folks to create ideas that R&D couldn't make in their lifetime. And it also didn't allow R&D to go off and create things that consumers really didn't want or were ahead of their time, but then they could come back to them if, the demand changed. So I think the example that you gave in the B2B world has got a lot of application in the consumer world as well.
Great. And one thing I was also thinking about is when we look at technology and that impact on every business, some companies are more affected by technology than others. It really depends on the industry, and some are totally tech driven. And technology affects businesses in different ways. One way it is that it can affect how we do business, as Steve shared in the example with Sears. There was a different way to do business because of the technology that became available. It also can change how we deliver our product and services, because now, again, with Sears, there was online ways to get the product out the door. And now, of course, we have products that basically we can consume online, like workshops and things of that nature, books and everything else, where, now we don't even have a physical product sometimes. Another thing that technology can change is our distribution channel, which again is kind of what we've been talking about as well, but there becomes different channels that we can use. And obviously in Steve's world, it used to be multi-channel, where you would have the manufacturer and then you might have a distributor and then you might have it get to the retail store. Well, now some of that has changed even by using technology. And then, as I mentioned somewhat, the product might be a different product because of the technology that's available. So when we think about technology, there's so many pieces of it that can affect our business, whether it, like I said, would be in the delivery, the distribution, the actual product, all of those things. So keep in mind that technology can come at you from a few different angles, and we need to be sensitive to that. And as Steve mentioned, we also need to pay attention to consumer trends, and how with Sears, people changed how they wanted to shop and they found new solutions. Next time, we are going to talk about some misconceptions that people have in market intelligence, business intelligence, market research. Any of those terms apply, because sometimes people get ideas that are not very accurate, and that causes some problems in their business or in their ability to really go get the information. Steve and I are a little bit of fanatics, you might say, on having good information from the target market, from the desired customers, the current customers, and making sure that that information is what we're using to make decisions. We've got about 2 minutes left, and we will be chatting about that next time. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to put up our contact information. And Steve, I don't know if there's any closing comments that you would like to add.
No, I think you've summarized it pretty well. I think it's just important to pay attention to what's going on in the marketplace. And it's easy to get caught up in your own business and your own abilities without really understanding what's going on in the marketplace. And there's multiple ways to do that, especially now with the technology, among other things, and listening to your consumers, your target audience, or your prospects.
So thank you for tuning in today. We look forward to seeing you next time. I don't have the next date because I'm going to be out of the country in 2 weeks. So Steve and I will put together something and put it out on LinkedIn. There's our contact information. Reach out to either one of us if you've got questions on your business, questions on getting good information. Maybe you need to do some research, or maybe you're at a point where you need somebody to help you interpret that research. Also, if you're looking for ideas and strategies to increase your revenue and profits, give us a holler. So thank you again for stopping in. We look forward to seeing you, and we will send a post out, put something out on LinkedIn, and it might be 3 weeks from today that we are back again to talk about those misconceptions that people have. Thanks.